I'm Dan Hunt, and this is the RV Life Podcast. We are live from the Tampa RV Superstore, or the Florida RV Superstore. Our guest today, well, he didn't just buy one company. In the last 20 years, he's acquired over 100 companies. Now, I have to tell you that Patty is not with us today in Tampa. Her mother fell ill. She's in the hospital, so Patty's up in Philadelphia dealing with that. But we are going to move Florida. We're here in Florida. The sun, the water, the warmth, it just feels really, really good. And the Tampa RV Super Show, I'm telling you, this place is huge. Now, we have been grateful to the AIM people. We are in the AIM tent, and we've been with them for quite a few days here, and it is just really, really nice to be in this 40 by 80 tent. We're going to have dinner here later tonight. It's just a lot of fun. Now, that sounds means it's time for today's fun fact, and you know, this fun fact is really something that's very, very interesting. How many people do you think attend the Tampa RV show this year? It's just a lot of people. Now, last year, there was 80,000 people here. 80,000 people bought tickets to this event. Another 4,000 or 5,000 media, and then another 10,000 vendors were here. Really, really incredible. They're looking for a 5 to 10% increase. You're talking about over 85,000 people will come through these gates. And you know what? The Clydesdales are here. The Budweiser Clydesdales are here. I saw them this morning. I went over and I gave them an apple. It was really, really incredible. Those horses are just really, really majestic. So we're having a great time here at the RV Super Show. And I will tell you that our guest today is just an incredible human being. You want to stick around because what he has to say, you want to know.
Why end your camping season when it gets cold? With the inflatable RV skirting system from Air Skirts, you could extend your camping season year-round. Reach out to Jim and his team by visiting airskirts.com for more information. RV Life Podcast listeners get $100 off a kit order when you use code RVPOD. That is RVPOD for $100 off.
This RV Life podcast is sponsored in part by Clear 2O. Clear 2O continues to bring its expanding line of water filtration products to RVers with innovations such as their DirtGuard sediment pre-filter, their 1-micron solid carbon block inline water filter, and a wide variety of high-quality filters for your RV's whole house filter system. When it comes to clean water for your RV life, the answer is clear. Clear 2O. Visit clear20.com and use the coupon code RVLifePodcast to save an additional 5% on every purchase.
I'm Dan Hunt with my incredible wife, Patty Hunt, who's not with us today. But we are here at the Tampa or Florida Super Show, and I got to tell you, it is exciting here. Our guest today started his career as an analyst. He worked in the office, and he just knew that lifestyle was not for him. He has traveled extensively through 6 continents. He literally stumbled across his first acquisition in the web space, and then has purchased over 100 websites then. He has built RV Life to be one of the most respected companies in the RV industry. Andy Robinowitz, welcome to the RV Life Podcast.
Thanks a lot. Glad to be here.
You know, you're the founder, the owner of RV Life. Let's just start, you know, when you started over 20 years ago, did you feel like 20 years time you would be sitting in a chair on a podcast and have a whole bunch of people listening to you?
No, I never thought in my wildest dreams that that this would turn into what it is today.
Let's talk a little bit about how you started. You know, the company's name is Social Knowledge, not RV Life. That's the actual official company's name. And you used that for a while. Talk about how you used that and why it changed.
Okay, well, that name goes way back, probably into the early 2000s, and we were running forums for RVers, and there's a social aspect to forums where people, become friends, hang out, and then meet up at rallies, and so the name came from, what people were doing. They were being social, and they were sharing knowledge.
Okay. Now, why do you feel that the name from Social Knowledge changed to RV Life?
Well, that one. So for a while, at first, I didn't set out with a grand vision to build a big network in the RV industry. So just set out to run forums, connect people with similar interests. And then over time, we started adopting or acquiring other RV forums. And when I'd come to events and I'd say, hey, I'm Andy with Social Knowledge, they didn't really know who I was. So I thought I better find a catchier name. And that's when we started looking for names. And it ended up that we found the magazine RV Life. And so we bought RV Life. And that's the magazine is now what has turned into a digital media and software company.
Let's talk about, we talk about forums, and I see you're having a little bit of a mic problem there. We'll fix that here in a minute. But we started out with forums, and here we are sitting in the tent of AIM, and that is a group. We're actually in the middle of their rally right now. But you first started with, let's say, a little teensy Airstream.
Right. Yeah. So I had a 16-foot Airstream, and basically I needed to remodel it. So ended up buying my Airstream, going to a Yahoo group, and I didn't have the tools needed to share, my photos and whatnot with their people. And that's how the first site got going. Was a friend of mine said, hey, man, you should just make a forum.
And that forum turned into, what do you have now? 20, 25 different forums?
I think we have 32 RV forums now. So for a good decade, that's all we did was just run forums. And, there's an art to that. If people don't like the way you manage the place, they're gone. So we grew to, 30 plus RV forums. And over time, when you're just hanging out with RVers all day, every day on a forum, you hear about all the great tools and, tips they have for each other. And that's where a lot of the inspiration came for everything we do.
Now, one of the forums is called IRV, and the owner of National Indoor, who is one of the podcast sponsors, was talking to me the other night about how great that forum is. Tell me why you think that forum has grown to be as big as it is, and what makes it stand out to the other ones.
Okay. Yeah. So I think that's actually IRV2 is the name of that one. Yeah. And it's very popular with folks who own bigger rigs. So we have a section on the site for each of the different brands, sections on the sites for different chassis. And so folks, no matter what brand they own, they can get in there and find other owners and get support, meet up, plan for meetups at rallies and stuff like that. I'd say it's it's very much a live and active site for motor homeowners.
Let's talk about RV Life for a second. RV Life. Why do you feel RV Life has really been so successful over the last 5-10 years?
Well, I wish I could take credit for it, but it's definitely the fact that, it's our community. We started with forums in that community. And then when we grew to a campground directory, once again, those are of no value if you don't have photos, reviews, honest reviews that you can trust. And so it's always been about the community. So all we've been doing is hanging out with the members, listening to what they're doing, and trying to apply that knowledge into something that we can make a tool of. So ultimately, our goal is to simply make some services that make owning an RV a little bit easier. That's kind of the direction we're taking now.
That's the direction that you're going through. Recently, in the last few years, you've acquired not one but two podcasts, and you're expanding a little bit in the video. I know the camper report is getting more and more successful every day. I was actually with John last night at an event. Tell me a little bit about how you see the future of RV life, and do you see moving more into the multimedia mode, or how do you see that working?
Okay, well, with our forums, after the forums came blogs, so now we had two different types of media. And then we acquired Camper Report and got the idea to connect and do the Camper Report show with John. Obviously, we were lucky to cross paths with you, so that's how this podcast came up. We like to experiment, see what works, figure out what our audience likes. I think we're the largest media company in the RV industry, so when you look at the tens of millions of people that go to all of our websites, that is historically where our company was. We were an ad-supported company that we were publishers. If we would ask me, what do you do? I'm a website publisher. And now we have software. And so we actually, in our company, we run those two departments separately. So we have a content side of the company that manages all of our blogs. The forums run on their own, and then the software runs on its own. And, each one of those sections evolves. So specifically with the media, like you're talking about, we want to do more of what we do. And we want to make sure we're the most trusted source for that information.
And, I really feel, that people out there that are RVing, whether they be full-time RVers or part-time RVers or sometime RVers, all of us have the different situations in our life, but just watching how this program, the RV Life podcast, has really grown to the top 5% in the country, the top 5% of all podcasts in a very, very short period of time. This is episode 9 right now. Tell me your thoughts and how you feel about how, you and I talked about this as an idea in Hershey, and look where we are today.
Yeah, I'm blown away. All this equipment you have and how you know how to use it and figure out all this stuff. I mean, I think it's fascinating to watch, and it's just really neat to see it go from an idea into something real. To tell you the truth, I personally I don't listen to that many podcasts. So it probably wasn't on my radar as high, but man, you hear about it every single day, podcasts are growing in popularity, and to see this one go from nothing into where it is now that quickly, that's just.
Yeah, it is incredible. And, you do own another podcast. I always call it our sister podcast, the RV Entrepreneur. They've been around for a few years. They've gone through several different host type things. As a matter of fact, one of the hosts now was on the RV Life podcast just a couple of weeks ago, Kim Crossland, and she's just absolutely wonderful. We just love her to death. So now you have the Camper Report. It's a YouTube type thing. We have 2 different podcasts out there. Do you see growing more, or do you think for right now you're pretty good with that?
To be honest, it's a very hands-off approach. So when we have capable folks that want to work and do something like this, then we open our ears and listen and see if it's something that we want to check out. I don't know. There's no like big board meeting that talks about, hey man, we're going to go launch 14 more podcasts and 12 more websites or anything like that. We just go with the flow and go where the wind takes us. And that's,
it's really funny because I listened to an interview that you did, and it was probably 5 years ago that you did this interview. And you were talking about how you hated that corporate structure, the machine of the corporation. You just hated that. But the company is getting bigger and bigger over time. So let's talk a little bit about that right after the break. You're listening to the RV Life Podcast with Dan and Patty Hunt.
When traveling in your RV, how do you navigate? Do you use a paper map, a GPS, or do you use Google Maps? Our sponsor, RV Trip Wizard, has the solution, and it just works.
It just works. And you know what? It really does just work. I do not move my RV 1 inch, not an inch, without first mapping it out in RV Trip Wizard. And I have talked to a lot of the AIM members here at the RV Super Show, and they all say the same thing. So, Andy, tell me, did you see our... Let's actually go back. Let's go in the Wayback Machine for a second and talk about the inception of RV Trip Wizard, because I understand you didn't really write it. You purchased it and then advanced it.
Yes, that's correct. It was actually birthed here in Florida, where the founder, wonderful, wonderful guy, a veteran who's just a fantastic person, and unfortunately had some health issues, and he was worried about the website staying going should something happen. And so I reached out to him to tell him I really liked what he was doing. And before you know it, we had connected, and he, allowed me to purchase RV Trip Wizard from him. And so we then took our directory of campgrounds, which I would say was a better source of data, and we plugged it into his software, the Trip Planner. And that's what, and then we invested a lot of time, into it over the years, but that's how it got started.
A lot of people I have talked to have said, well, it didn't do this and it didn't do that. And it didn't do that. And it didn't. And I always say to them, you know what? It's a new product in the last 2 years. And it does do that. And it does do this. And it does do all of these great features. I've been using it for 2 years. I would say that the advancement in the last 2 years are 100, 200%. Where is it from when it started? When you first looked at it, is it what you imagine today? And how do you, tell people if you've left RV Trip Wizard, come back, because, man, it works.
Yes, no, it's evolved significantly since the very beginning. I mean, both from a functionality standpoint, like the look and feel, but also from the speed and just working. When we first started, it was actually running on Google Maps, so it would give you car routing. Later on, we added RV safe routing, based on the height, weight, and length of your rig. And so it's really come a long way, but we're not done. We're barely scratching the surface. One of the problems was all of these pieces of RV Life Pro were purchased at different times, and they function as different products on their own. And so we're basically changing that up, and we're going to make them just one single product that really works. Like right now, you got to go to the browser to go to Trip Wizard to edit and plan your trip. But why can't you open the app and do the same thing, right? It should just be no matter where you are, you just add a trip, edit your trip, do whatever you need to do. So we're just trying to make it more cohesive into one single product. And that's going to take us probably another year, working on that. But yeah, we make incremental improvements every few weeks. We have releases, and they have small improvements, and then that's what adds up over the time.
It really does. I had a great time because you break it down in your company to what you call product owners. And one of the product owners for RV Trip Wizard was actually at the Hershey show about 4 or 5 months ago, talking to him. And, he gave me a limit. He said, I can only make one suggestion a day. But it is really great that he listens to those suggestions and has actually implemented some of the things as we're out on the road and we hear people. And by the way, if you're listening, in the show notes, there is a link to get RV Trip Wizard. There's a code, RV podcast. That's our RV Life podcast is the code for that. You will get 25% off. You will get 7 free days to test it out. If you don't like it, you can turn it back in. But you will get RV Trip Wizard and a lot of other stuff. So let's talk about the stuff.
Okay, so we call the whole thing RV Life Pro, and we're going through kind of like a rebranding where in the future it'll be RV Life Pro comes with the Trip Wizard, with the GPS app, with it's a bundle essentially, and we have in there turning your phone into an RV safe GPS, so you don't need to buy a Garmin. That has CarPlay compatible. We have a maintenance tracker, so you can add your rig in there. You can add your generator, your ACs, your chassis, engines, all that stuff. And you can track what maintenance you did and what maintenance is coming due. We have a masterclass series, so whether you want to learn more about getting internet on the road or, maybe you're just new into RVing, there's a lot of courses there to help you get started. So basically the bundle of tools is what we provide, and we call that all RV Life Pro.
Right. And you didn't mention the classes, the master classes that are a part of it. So just talk a little bit about that, because that to me is a really integral part of everything that we're doing, getting people doing things the right way.
Yeah, so the master classes are included with RV Life Pro, and I think we have 5 or 6 of them in there, and they range from beginner intro level to RVing courses to more advanced topics, including pretty advanced internet connectivity and other boondocking, homeschooling, other topics that appeal to certain types of RVers, and all of the master classes are included in RV Life Pro.
Let's talk a little bit again about RV Life. It's amazing to me as I look at this company, and I've done a lot of research on the company because I'm one of the public speakers that talks about the company. Over the last 20 years, and most companies that go through this don't really make it, you've kind of gone from an ad-based revenue to a subscription-based revenue. Now it's kind of a hybrid of both of those. Can we talk a little bit about, how you played ping pong as you went through this process over the last 20 years?
Yeah. So originally it was all ad supported. And then once we got RV Trip Wizard, we had an annual fee for that. And it's been fascinating. It's kind of like a stock portfolio. There's a lot of risk to having all your eggs in one basket. So when we were an ad-supported business, there could have been a Google algorithm update that just knocked us out of the search engines, and we would have lost a lot of our revenue. So having the subscription revenue allows us to diversify our revenue streams, which then helps us mitigate some risk in our business. We don't have a big venture-backed company or anything like that. We're kind of a scrappy, homegrown company. So.
Let's talk about you for a second. You're a dad. You have 2 kids. You have a wife. You've got this company that is a piece of clay that just keeps getting bigger and bigger, whether you kind of want it to or not. What keeps you going? What is your driving force behind what you do each and every day?
Well, pretty much you summed it up. I wake up, I parent in the morning. Once the kids are at school, then I work. And then after school, I try to help my wife some days, juggle the right now we're in the weeds a little bit with our kids, because they're doing so many activities. We're going in different directions. And then usually in the evenings, I'll do some more work. The good thing is I enjoy what I work on. As long as there's not a whole bunch of stress or drama involved. And so when I get to work on how we can build better products, or thinking about strategy on how we can make the product work better, or, talking with my team, we have just amazing folks at the company. So that's kind of a blessing right there, is to get to hang out with people you actually like to hang out with. So,
you started this company with you, yourself, and you. I think there's over 25 people now, something like that. I guess I got 2 questions there. A, are they one of us? Are they RVers? Oh, and tell me about what those people do and how you kind of go out and try to get them.
Okay, great. Yeah. So we had our annual meeting this morning, and we were 42 people. So we have grown now to 40 plus people. And many of them are RVers. So we try at first to find folks that are, have RV experience, are currently RVing, or, domain knowledge. If we can't find someone within the community, then we'll look outside the community, like when we're looking for a specialized skill, a certain type of programmers and stuff like that. But a good portion of our product owners are RVers, designers, testers. Whenever possible, we hire RVers, and I go reach out, go to different areas, whether it's our communities, Facebook, wherever and start barking up those trees first. And then that way, if we find, we also now have gotten some great referrals from one employee to another employee, so we grow, and often RVers know each other, like, oh, you work from the road. So, yeah, it's been great to expand our family with some really wonderful folks.
Now, the RV industry in general, your company, RV Life Pro, it's really a major part of the RV industry. Tell me what you see. Like, a lot of changes over the last 2 years. A lot of changes. Quality of RVs has gone down, and we're going to have Trey Miller from Jayco tomorrow, and he's going to talk about what his company has done to try to fix that while we're here at the RV Super Show in Florida. But what do you see the future of the RV industry?
That's going to be exciting and fun to watch. Obviously, we're in an era right now where there's some technological advances, whether that's building the first electric motorhomes, there's some neat stuff you can do when you got 480 volts around. You can heat water pretty fast. But, I think, hopefully the next decade ahead will be like the last decade minus the economic crisis and COVID. Just a good decade ahead. It seems like hopefully the manufacturers are, focused on quality control. I think we've gone from super high on fire now to some slower sales out there. So, that's going to allow the campgrounds to get caught up with the demands, allow that kind of spike to cool down, that COVID created, and things just normalize a little better. And so that's hopefully what we got, ahead is just some normal years.
And it seems like people are more and more interested in the RV lifestyle with, 80,000 people last year at this event, and they're telling me 10 to 15% increase at this event. I really feel like the industry, people want to get out. People want to get on the road. People want to do those kind of things.
Definitely. And there's just so many exciting things going on. There's a whole cottage industry of YouTubers who vlog as they travel around the country. And there are literally tens, hundreds of millions of people who watch all those various vlogs, and they get inspired. So you have massive amounts of content being made and massive amounts of content being consumed. And that gives people the wanderlust. They see it and they're like, hey, honey, look at that family. We should do that, too. And it's just starting to multiply. That didn't exist 10 years ago,
I tell the story of my wife when COVID was here. And I said, you know what? There's nothing to do in the entertainment industry. Nobody's allowed to come to shows. Nobody's allowed to do this. Let's sell it all. Let's buy an RV. We'll hit the road. We'll start a YouTube channel. Now we started a podcast. I didn't think she was going to make it, but I think that she loves it. It's become a part of her life. And then when you come to events like this, rallies like this, and we see hundreds of great big RVers and going to parties at night and people exchanging ideas, it's just really, really inspiring. Because 5 years ago, I didn't really know that this much of an industry existed out here. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. Let's talk about you. And if you could do it again, if you could go in the Wayback Machine, what do you think you might do differently if you could do it again, and why?
If I could do it all over again, I probably would have doubled down on a few different types of investments in the, 2005, 2008. That's when I was very heavy in forums, but they just turned out to be fantastic, just interesting places, right? Like for almost any topic you can think of, there's a forum, and off of any forum, there's probably solutions that could be made, so it could be for people who have a bunch of audio gear for podcasts. You could probably come up with a solution. For people who are traveling around the world, you could come up with a solution. It just so happened, I ended up in the RV space, but there's a lot of neat things that could, yeah.
Okay, well, we have been talking to Andy Robinowitz. He is the founder of RV Life, and it has been great speaking with you. Thank you so much for A, allowing us to do this podcast, and B, you know, everything that you do for the RV Life community. Now, we have the question of the week coming up. Will you stick around after the break and help me answer the question of the week?
Yes, of course.
Okay, I'm Dan Hunt with my missing wife, Patty Hunt, who's up in Philadelphia taking care of her mom. And you are listening to the RV Life podcast. This podcast is brought to you in part by RVinsurance.com. Getting proper insurance coverage for RVers can be difficult, as the RV lifestyle tends to take us away from our stated coverage area. The RVer Insurance Exchange can help RVers navigate tricky waters of health insurance and find a policy that travels with you, so you can enjoy RVing without worrying that your policy won't cover you. The agents at RVerinsurance.com are real RVers that understand the unique needs of those enjoying the RV life. Visit RVerinsurance.com or call 1-800-867-4330 and let the experts at RVer Insurance work for you. National Indoor RV Centers with over 1,000 motorhomes available across multiple locations. National Indoor RV Centers continues to provide an outstanding hassle-free motorhome ownership experience. National Indoor is the #1 Newmar dealer in the nation and also features brands like Integra, Winnebago, and much more. Visit NIRVC.com and become a part of the National Indoor RV Centers family. This is the RV Life podcast. I'm Dan Hunt with my incredible wife, Patty Hunt. We are live today at the Florida Super Show. It's the Florida RV Super Show. It is incredible. You know, Andy, you're sitting in for Patty for this part of the show, so tell me what you think of this. I mean, this place is huge. I can't believe how big it is.
It's amazing. I mean, it's the whole fairground's just covered in RVs and people everywhere. It's wild.
You know, and it's not only the new RVs that are in there. Here we are with our gracious host, the AIM tent, and this is a rally group. They have rallies all over the country. And, you know, like 10 feet from us, there is Tiffin's, there's Newmars, there's Integras, everything and its brother is here. A lot of big RVs that people have come in to be at the show. Yeah,
there's a ton of big rigs, and it's amazing to see that many of them together.
It really is. You know, I'm actually camping over in the media area, and all of the different podcasters and YouTube channels and vloggers, all of the people, we're all kind of hanging out over there together. It's really something to get this many people together in Florida to do something like this.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was a media area for camping, and that's awesome. You know, and what I'm noticing is that there's just lots of, once again, birds of a feather flock together. So there's lots of people here who brought together by a common bond, whether that's RVing or whether that's a club that they're in, and they all meet up here to go, you know, have some fun and go to the show. So it's neat to see everything set up here where people are together.
Well, this is the part of the show right now where we do what we call the RV Life Pro Tip of the Week with Patrick Buchanan.
RV Life makes it easy to share your exciting RV trip with friends and family via the RV Life Trip Wizard. To share a trip with another Trip Wizard user, first open your trip, click on the wrench icon, and choose Share Trip. Now click Share Trip with another Trip Wizard user and enter the email address that person uses for their own Trip Wizard account and click Send. Your friend or family member will find your trip in their own TripWizard account under Tentative Trips, where they can view, copy, or even change the trip according to their own needs. If you simply want to share a view of your trip, even to those without an RV Life Pro account, simply choose Visitor View after clicking Share Trip and create a shareable link that allows others to see your RV journey just as you've planned it. I'm Pat Buchanan with your RV Life Pro Tip of the Week.
You know, that is something that is really, really useful. My son does not have RV Life, so I send him the link, and he kind of follows us around, and then we call when we get there. So when we're traveling, we don't have a situation where, you know, somebody doesn't really know where we are.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I love hearing how people are using the different features of the TripWizard.
Yeah, you know, we can always talk about different things about TripWizard. And again, if you want to try it out, it's a 7-day free trial. If you use the code RV Life Podcast, 25% off. It is just really something that if you don't have RV TripWizard, you really want to try it out because it really does make a difference. Now, we're going to go into our question of the week, and we're doing a little different because we have a live podcast. We do have a studio audience. We got somebody from the studio audience to come up who you actually have a podcast of your own, correct?
That's correct.
Tell us a little bit, before we go into that, tell us a little bit about your podcast.
Thanks, Dan and Andy, for inviting me up here. I really appreciate it. 5 years ago, a very good friend of mine, Fred McMurray, and I started a podcast, which is now also a video. So you can watch us. It's called Pillars of Franchising, and we're on at 4 o'clock on Thursdays every single week. And we've been doing this for the past 5 years.
Wow, that's great. That is wonderful to put that kind of information out. So let's talk a little bit. You and I were talking earlier. Tell me what your question. Oh, first of all, tell me where do you and your wife live? Where are you from?
Okay, we're from Aurora, Illinois. That's about 40 miles west of Chicago. And we store our RV in Atlanta with NIRVC and during the winter. So from here, we'll be driving to see some friends in Ocala for a couple of days, and then we're going to be taking the coach back up to Atlanta for storage.
Now, our host here in this beautiful tent with all of these RVs around, All-Inclusive Motorhome Club. Tell me a little bit about the All-Inclusive Motorhome Club.
Oh, it's a fantastic organization. We pretty much joined, became life members recently, but we joined almost from the inception. We're not founding members, but we really enjoy the RV lifestyle, and we call ourselves what? RV junkies or whatever you want to call it. But we go to all the events.
Okay, so tell us about your question that you're going to get the pros to answer for you.
Okay, here's the big question that I'm asking the pros. When we search for a place to stay, and as you know, with a large rig, we have an Integra Cornerstone, 45 feet long, Class A RV. You got to be careful when you drive it. You just can't drive it anywhere. So one of the things that we look at in RV TripWizard is big rig friendly. Is it really big rig friendly? And we've driven into supposedly big rig friendly resorts, and all of a sudden we have tree limbs hitting us on the top and the bottom and the side, and the corners are so tight that you have to back in and back forward and make a 3-point corner or something like that. How can we do? I mean, I will look online, and I will look on Google Maps and see how friendly it is, but a lot of times you can't tell.
Yeah. So all that data.
Wait, but before we go into it, Andy, I just got to say that's a great question. It's something that I have talked to some other people. I'm just gonna have to give you a little bit of. Applause for that question, because that is really, really a great question. Now, Andy, you can answer the question.
Okay, so all the data that we have in our database is provided by our community. So if you go to a campground and you experience something that's not big rig friendly, like if the trees are overgrown, it could have been big rig friendly 3 years ago, but you've observed it to not be big rig friendly, just go ahead and report it. You can do that in lots of different ways, either by reporting, something on the campground or contacting us, But another thing to do is to scan the reviews. A lot of times you can actually filter the reviews by RV type. So you can say, only show me reviews from other motorhome owners, and then start scanning those. And they'll mention trees and branches, usually the pavement on the inside, what it's like, stuff like that. So, and if there's something that appears to be not big rig friendly about the campground, we need to know. We get thousands of updates, and that's what keeps our, makes it good for the next guy. So, yeah, got to let us know.
One of the greatest things about the RV Trip Wizard is the reviews on Campground Review. They're all peer-based reviews. A campground can't come to us and say, look, we want a great review written. Write us a great review. This is the way that it works. No, it's all peer-to-peer. And then one other thing, and maybe, Andy, you can talk a little bit about it, was our tip of the week a couple weeks ago, where you can get that satellite view of the campground. So talk about how that would help him out there.
Okay, yeah. So the same way you're switching back and forth with Google, while you're on the map, there's a little icon at the bottom right that you can press, and you can just drop that on the map anywhere, and it will then open up Google satellite view for you right on the campground. Furthermore, we also, our little sister component is Campground Reviews, the directory side of things. That one is very easy to get to a satellite version there as well. And of course, you can zoom in, but once again, those might be a couple of years old and, it's hard to tell. So the number one way is to get just feedback. We need the feedback.
Yeah. And I think feedback from other RVers is much more valuable. I mean, how many times have you gone anywhere about anything and the advertising picture is just beautiful. And then when you go and buy it, it doesn't quite look that way. So I think that those peer-to-peer reviews are really, really important in that case. So thank you so much for coming. I got a T-shirt for you in a little while for being part of today's RV Life podcast. If you'd like to ask a question, reach out to us on social media and we'll give you a call and get you on tape so you can ask a question of the professionals, and we'll do our best to get the very best answer for you. Andy, again, thank you so much for being with us this week on the RV Life podcast here at the Florida State RV Super Show. It has just been amazing.
Thank you, Stan. Thanks, Dan. You're doing a great job.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much. So we are here at the Super Show. We are in the all-inclusive motorhome. They have a rally going on. We're sitting right next. They're setting up the bar. I'm getting thirsty looking at all this Coke and soda and water coming in. There's going to be a dinner here tonight. If you have never checked out what it's like to be part of a club, and here we are 2 years in, and this all-inclusive motorhome club, this is the first club that we've actually joined. And we had such a good time. Where were we last week? Up in Florida somewhere. Anybody can tell us where we are? Chiefland. I heard it out there in the audience. Chiefland, Florida. We were up there. It was a beautiful resort. Not a lot of trees. Not a lot of trees, but we're in Florida. And I got to tell you, it was just absolutely amazing. So if you haven't checked out what it's like to be a part of a club or a part of a group, you might want to check it out. And usually they have some kind of deal that you can try it once or go once with them. But, over the last 2 weeks, Patty and I, this is the third rally that we've been at and we've been speaking at. And I have to tell you, it is really, really great to have a community around and talk about what you do and what we do and how we do it. It really is something that we have a great time doing. So you are listening to the RV Life podcast. We will be coming out to you live on Facebook every day this week during the show. And then we'll go back to our regular scheduling every Wednesday starting next week. We have a lot of great guests for you. We have Jayco coming out. We have Brett, who is the owner of not all inclusive. He's the owner of National Indoor
RV.
I see him back over there. He's back over in the tent behind us. So he'll be our guest on Friday. We have Trey Miller tomorrow. He's the guest from Jayco. So we are real excited to be here. We're real excited to bring you all of the cool stuff that's happening here on the YouTube channel. We're going to run over and I'm going to try. They said no first, but I think they're going to let me do it. We're going to try to get some video of the Clydesdales and their show because, man, those horses are just absolutely, it's really one of those dream things to be able to see. So if you're in the area of Florida, you want to come out, check out the Florida RV Super Show. You and 80,000 of your best friends will be here over the next 5 days. And I'm telling you, it's worth it to come and look at all of these new things. I just got an email a few minutes ago from Winnebago. They are introducing a new electric B-Class RV here. So I'm going to go over and take a look at that. Maybe I can bring you some of the video or talk to somebody and bring that back to one of the podcasts over the next couple days. So again, thank you for listening. Thank you for hanging out. We are available on Apple, Spotify, Google, anybody that dishes up a podcast. You will find the RV Life Podcast. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram at RV Life Podcast. So thank you all very, very much for being here with us. My name is Dan Hunt. My wife is up in Philadelphia right now. She's not with us right now, but she's with us in heart. Thank you all, and have a great rest of today and an even better day tomorrow.